secondary or indirect active transport. Here, number one, energy is obtained from some other substances. Carrier molecules or the transport molecules. In several books, they are using carrier molecules. Some of them are using carrier particles. Some of them are using the carrier substance and transport proteins. All are same. Usually, glucose and amino acid very difficult to transport. And you know that these are the end products of the glucose, of the end product of metabolism of the carbohydrate, and amino acid is the end product of metabolism of the protein. These are the very important substances that should be used by the cell, either by absorption or any other ways. So, but they cannot be transported very easily. To transport these glucose and amino acids, it requires some extra substances which will help here in the transport of these glucose and amino acids. And for that, one is required the sodium ion, another is required the carrier protein, carrier molecule, CM. CM is the short from the carrier molecules or transport proteins. So what is the action of the carrier molecules? They will change its shape when they come in contact with the sodium and subsequently transported in the cell either in the same direction or in the opposite direction. This type of the transport is also called the co-transport. Co means associated. If the sodium ion is there, glucose should be transported. If the amino acid is there and sodium is not there, amino acid will not be transported. So, sodium ion acts as a co-transport substances, but the carrier molecules also needed. So, the secondary and inactive transport, the example in some other books, it is written as the co-transport of sodium glucose in the intestine and co-transport of the sodium amino acids in the intestine. Now, actual phenomena, what is occurred here? You must know about what is the carrier molecules. Carrier molecules mainly made up of the protein, number one. Number two, these carrier molecules are of three types. One is the uniporter, next symporters or co-transporters, and another one is the last one is the antiporters or the counter transporters. Uni means unidirection, in one direction. Carrier molecule that transmits a single substance in one direction, that is called uniporter. And I told you that facilitated diffusion is not a diffusion at all, but it is a diffusion. In some books, it is classified under the diffusion. There is only the need of the uniporters. So it is clear, I think so. The facilitated diffusion of the glucose is to be done only in the presence of the carrier molecule or the carrier protein or transport protein. Here, this substance is used a single and direction is one. If the single substance is to be transported in one direction means from outside to inside the cell. The direction means from either from outside to inside cell or inside to outside cell. So this is called the both the direction.
Sir,
Huh?
many students are finding understanding.
Stream porters or co-transports are carrier molecule that transport two substances together in same direction. As for an example, secondary active transport of glucose and amino acid. Just now I have told that the secondary active transport of glucose and amino acid are under the stream porters, co-transport. Antiporter are the counter transporters that transport the substances opposite direction, exchange one substance against another, as we have seen in case sodium potassium pump. In the sodium potassium pump, we have seen that 3 sodium ion enters inside the cell and 2 potassium um, uh, 3 sodium ion exit and 2 potassium ions enter. As well as I told you, some in muscle cells, sodium calcium exchange and sodium hydrogen exchange in the renal tubules. So we can say the carrier molecules initiated the transports are facilitated diffusion of glucose, secondary active transport of glucose and amino acid, sodium potassium pump, sodium calcium exchange in muscle, and sodium hydrogen exchange in the renal tubules. Glucose and galactose transporter. Glucose and galactose are to be absorbed into the small intestine in the mucosal cell layer of the intestinal small intestine by the help of the carrier molecules SGLT. The full form of the SGLT is the sodium glucose linked transporter. This is the number one, SGLT. It is again classified into 1 and 2. SGLT1 is for the small intestinal mucosa and also in the proximal tubule of nephron. Absorption of sodium ions along with the glucose and galactose occurred in the small intestine in presence of the carrier molecule SGLT1. Why it is called the co-transport? Here sodium ion along with the glucose are to be absorbed by the help of the carrier molecules. If the sodium ion is not there, glucose will not be absorbed into this intestinal mucosa. The same thing happening to the galactose also. In the
Excuse me,
nephron,
sir.
usually,
Sir, can
you
you
ask in
please
the chat
repeat
box,
what? Can you
you will
please?
ask the question, you will ask the question in the chat box.
Sorry
Absorption
to
of
interrupt.
sodium ions along with the glucose and galactose in the nephron. The part of the nephron is the proximal tubule and the proximal convoluted tubule. SGLT is classified into two, SGLT1 and SGLT2. SGLT1 is found into the small intestinal mucosa, number 1, and number 2 in the proximal tubule of the nephron. SGLT2 is also found into the proximal convoluted tubule. There is another carrier molecules which helps in the glucose diffusion, facilitated diffusions. In case of the fructose, glucose, galactose, and fructose are the component parts of the carbohydrate food substances, what we take in our food. Now, glucose is to be transported by the presence of the GLUT5, glucose linked transporter, and that is present in the brass border. So this is all about the secondary transport, active transport. Now we are coming to the vesicular. Vesicular means previously we have discussed in relation to the plasma membrane. Here we will get that there are two types of the vesicular transport. What is the meaning of vesicle? Vesicle is a droplet-like structure form and contains the liquid substance. It is occurred inside the cell or outside the cell. If it is in the inside the cell, that is called the endocytosis, and if it is outside the cell, that is called the exocytosis. In the endocytosis, the processes are number one, pinocytosis, drinking by the cell, I told previously, receptor mediated, and phagocytosis, that is the killing of any foreign materials that I told also in the previous lectures in the relation to the function of the plasma membrane. Now, what is the phagocytosis? Here, any foreign substance, either of dead tissue or the living tissue like bacteria and any foreign substances which are entered into the body, that is to be removed by the body defensive mechanism. And the processes are, the first is the substance comes in contact with the cell membrane, then it will invaginate and forms a endocystic cytic vesicles, detaches from the cell membrane, fusion with lysosomes. Lysosomes are the component part of the cytoplasm, as you know that. Now these vesicles are attached to the lysosomes, and the reaction between the lysosomes and this vesicle will help to liberation of the substance which are present into the vesicle into the intercellular fluid. So these are the 5 phases of the process of the phagocytosis. Receptor mediated. Here it requires a receptor. What is the action of the receptor? It will also, to some extent, acts like the carrier protein. So there should be a presence of the receptor over this on the cell membrane outside. The substance binds with the cell membrane receptor and forms a receptor substance complex. Whenever this receptor substance complex is formed, it will disturb the permeability of the cell and the substances are to be ingested. This type of the processes will found into the transport of the iron and cholesterol in the cells. This is the example. Pinocytosis, it is the drinking of the droplets of fluid. This type of the processes will see wherever in the absorptions of the gastrointestinal tract cells and the kidney cell. You know that in the gastrointestinal tract, in the small intestine is the region where the substances are being absorbed after the digestions and metabolism. Now, after the digestions, in the kidney, you know that kidney will filter all the substances present in the blood, but those substances which are very important for the body, that will be reabsorbed in the kidney. And here, in kidney reabsorption, pinocytosis process will help. Exocytosis. All the processes up till now I discussed that is related to inside the cell, the phenomena occurring inside the cell. Now we are coming to the exocytosis. What happened here? There is a trapping of substances within vesicles and granules. So granules and vesicles are formed and these substances are being trapped inside these vesicles and granules will fuse together with the cell membrane. Then release of content of the extracellular fluid without disturbing the structure of the cell membrane. So the substance come in contact. Before that, they form vesicles and granules. Then they fuse together with the cell membrane. Then the release of content to the extracellular fluid, but the cell membrane is not being disturbed. Suppose in case of we have seen in the secretion of the hormone. You know, the hormones are secreted by a group of cells. and it will not come in contact. It will not come out from the cell. So it should reach into the different organ cells via the transporting mechanism like blood and the lymphatic system. So there we will get the process of exocytosis. Digestive enzymes, you know it, that different enzymes are secreted by the different enzymatic cells present in the different parts of the gastrointestinal tract where the digestion process is going on. And certain neurotransmitter substances which are secreted by the neuron at the synapse, they are also called the synaptic transmitters. So these are the examples of the exocytosis. Now we have to know, so we have completed the transport across the cell membrane. Next we will discuss the body fluid compartment. In our body is made up of the water, and it is seen that about 70% of total body water constituted by water. Water contains what? Anions, different anions and cations. Cations include the sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and hydrogen, and anions like chloride, bicarbonate, and protein. What is the action of this water? It forms the intracellular medium in which the metabolic reaction takes place. This is a very important to know, the physiological importance, that it forms an intracellular medium in which the metabolic reactions takes place. And it is being observed that a person is on starvation of food and the water. The person is not taking any food, any water. If there is a starvation of water, it brings the death early than the food deprivation or the starvation. कोई अगर खाना नहीं खा रहा है, पानी पी रहा है, तो वो ज्यादा दिन तक जिंदा रहेगा. लेकिन अगर पानी नहीं पी रहा है लेकिन कुछ दिन, तो उसका डेथ जल्दी होगा. ये फिजियोलॉजिकली देखा गया है. बॉडी के अंदर में जो टोटल बॉडी वाटर होता है, कितने होना चाहिए? बॉडी के अंदर में टोटल बॉडी वाटर कितना होना चाहिए? एवरेज ह्यूमन बीइंग जिसका वेट 70 केजी है, तो 40 से 45 लीटर वाटर होना चाहिए. Suppose for an example, if a person have got the weight about 60 kilo, so you can calculate how many amount of the water should be present in your body. In males, it is more, that is about 65% of total body weight. In female, it is less, that is 55% of total body weight. But this value is variable from one individual to others, and also in different physiological conditions. In the lean people, अगर दुबला पतला है तो उसकी वैल्यू ज्यादा होगी. अगर ओबेसिटी है, फैट्स ज्यादा है, तो इसका वैल्यू कम होगी. इन फीमेल में फैट ज्यादा रहता है, इसीलिए इसकी वैल्यू कम होती है. मेल एंड फीमेल में इसकी वैल्यू ज्यादा होती है, क्योंकि इसमें फैट कम होता है, और फीमेल में ज्यादा होती है फैट, इसलिए उसकी बॉडी टोटल बॉडी वाटर कम होती है. इस बॉडी वाटर को डिटेक्ट करना बहुत ही दिक्कत की काम है, क्योंकि जब तक ना कोई ह्यूमन बॉडी को we will ask to sacrifice, that means kill the person, take the body water, what the body water contains, it is very difficult. First, in the 1863, Bishop was a scientist who determined the water content of an executed criminal by the method of desiccation. जो क्रिमिनल था उसको तो फांसी दिया जाता है, तो उसके फांसी देने के बाद में उसके बॉडी को डिसेक्ट करके उसमें कितनी क्वांटिटी ऑफ वाटर था, ये 1863 में बिशॉप में निकाला था। इसके बाद में Mitchell and his associated in the 1945, Widowson and his co-workers in 1951 determined the total body water in indirect method. Experimental study से ये रिवील हो रहा है कि टोटल वाटर कंटेंट ऑफ द मैन इज सिमिलर टू दैट ऑफ इन द डिफरेंट स्पेसीज, वेयर इन ह्यूमन बीइंग एंड एनिमल डिफरेंट स्पेसीज, total body water content is similar, not same, एक जैसा है. Relative distribution of the water in the various organs and tissues. You know that हमारे बॉडी के अंदर में जो डिफरेंट टिश्यूज है एंड ऑर्गन्स है उसमें डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वाटर होता है, ज्यादातर ये सेम है अपने शरीर से और अदर स्पीशीज में, लेकिन टोटल बॉडी वाटर अलग अलग है ह्यूमन बीइंग में और अदर स्पीशीज में. लेकिन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन किस जगह में है, ऑर्गन में है या टिश्यूज में है, वो एक ही है. ये दिमाग में रखना है. बॉडी मैन में ऑर्गन में डिफरेंट ऑर्गन्स में कितनी परसेंटेज ऑफ वाटर रहता है, ये निकाला गया है, एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टडी किया गया है. तो देखा गया कि स्केलेटन में 22%, सबसे ज्यादा रहता है ब्लड में 83%, एंड ऑल्सो इन द किडनी. जगह में क्यों रहती है आपको मालूम है, पूरे बॉडी का जो ब्लड होती है वो किडनी में फिल्टर होता है, इसलिए दोनों जगह में की परसेंटेज की मात्रा सबसे ज्यादा पाई जाती है, दैट इज 83% ऑफ टोटल बॉडी वाटर. स्केलेटन, इसके बाद में 83 के बाद में हम यहाँ पे देख रहे हैं हार्ट एंड लंग्स, इसमें एक ही मात्रा में मिलता है, जैसे 79% दोनों में. मसल्स में 76%, ब्रेन में 75%, लीवर में 68%, इंटायर बॉडी में 63% एंड स्केलेटन में 22%. अब ये जो बॉडी वाटर है कैसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होता है, पिछले स्लाइड में हमने बताया कि किस किस ऑर्गन में कितने परसेंटेज मिलती है. अब हम बोल रहे हैं कि इसका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कैसे होता है. इसका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन बॉडी को दो कंपार्टमेंट में डिवाइड किया गया है, एक एक्स्ट्रा सेलुलर कंपार्टमेंट, अनदर इंट्रासेलुलर कंपार्टमेंट. जो एक्स्ट्रा सेलुलर कंपार्टमेंट, इसमें जो बॉडी वाटर रहता है ये हेटेरोजेनस एंड नॉट ए कंटिन्यूअस फ्लूइड फेज. इट इज पोस्टुलेटेड, मतलब ये सोचा गया है 45% टोटल बॉडी वाटर के 45% वाटर फाउंड इन दिस कंपार्टमेंट. एक्स्ट्रा सेलुलर कंपार्टमेंट में 45% वाटर रहता है. और ये किस किस जगह में रहता है ये आपको हम बता रहे हैं. ट्रांससेलुलर, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ ट्रांससेलुलर? Transcellular means places where extracellular fluid have been separated from the other extracellular fluid by an epithelial membrane. दो extracellular fluid है जो एक मेम्ब्रेन के द्वारा सेपरेटेड किया गया है. ऐसी जगह में जो बॉडी के अंदर में जितनी ऐसी जगह है, यहाँ पे जितना परसेंटेज ऑफ वाटर मिलती है, that is called the transcellular water, and the percentage is 2.5%, very less amount. And ये कहाँ पे बॉडी में मिलेगा? cerebrospinal fluid, you know the cerebrospinal fluid are present into the brain and in the different parts of the brain and the ventricles. Synovial fluid, you know that it is present in the joint. Intraocular present in the eye. I, peritoneal, pleural, and pericardial. Peritoneal in the abdomen, pleural is the lungs, and pericardial is the heart. Any organ in our body is being covered up by two layers. One is the visceral and the parietal layer, anatomically, either in the lungs or in the heart or in the intestine or in the abdomen. एब्डोमेन के अंदर में जो ऑर्गन्स है, हार्ट के अंदर में जो हार्ट है और जो लंग्स जो है, ये सभी के कवर रहता है दो टाइप का लेयर, एक विसरल लेयर, पैराइटल लेयर, और उसके अंदर में कुछ फ्लूइड्स रहती है. पेरिटोनियल मतलब एब्डोमिनल रिलेटेड है, पेरिटोनियम रिलेटेड टू द एब्डोमेन, इसलिए इसका फ्लूइड का नाम है पेरिटोनियल फ्लूइड. प्लूरा इज द अनदर word for lungs, that is called the pleural fluid, and the pericardial, peri means surrounding and cardiac means heart. तो हार्ट के सराउंडिंग्स में जो फ्लूइड्स रहते हैं, द पेरिकार्डियल फ्लूइड. जितने डाइजेस्टिव ग्लैंड्स के डक्ट्स होती है, इसमें भी कुछ फ्लूइड्स रहती है और कुछ फ्लूइड्स रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट में, जीआई ट्रैक्ट में एंड जेनिटल ऑर्गन्स में. जो मिकस मेम्ब्रेन है, मिकस मेम्ब्रेन में मिकस ग्लैंड्स होती है जो सीक्रेट्स करता है, जिस कारण वो एरिया should be moist. If it is dry, it will cause certain disturbances. जैसे respiratory tract moist नहीं, moist होना चाहिए, GI tract and genitalia organs. तो यहाँ पे भी आपको जो fluid मिलेगा, the transcellular fluid और intraluminal fluid of alimentary canal. Alimentary system is a tube-like structure. Inside any tube, you know that there is a lumen, and that intraluminal fluid is present in the alimentary system. So previously I told the transcellular water is 2.5%, dense connective tissue and cartilage water. Here it will get this 7.5%. In the plasma, you know, whenever you have studied, the blood has got the two, one is the solid part and the liquid part. The liquid part is the plasma, and that is about 7.5%, and interstitial fluid and the lymph, that is 20%, and inaccessible bone water 7.5%. If you add 7.5 and 2.5 previously transcellular, and this plasma water 7.5 and 20 and 7.5, you will get 45%. The distribution of the body water extracellular compartment. This for today. Next day we will discuss the intercellular compartment and how the body water is measured. And this is for the next class we'll discuss. Now,